Welcome to the Black Belt Business Podcast. My name is Matthew Brenner, and today I'm with Jennifer Waters. She is the CEO and owner of Seven Figure Dojo, a marketing company and an ad agency company and a coaching company for martial arts school owners who want to grow their business. So, Jennifer, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super pumped to be here, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Before we got on here, we were talking about different coaching programs that you and I have personally done, and
Yeah,
a-
yeah.
a- and one of them we were in together years ago before I was doing coaching, and maybe that's when I don't know if that's when you first started or
Yeah, I think I was
uh,
first getting into it.
when you first got into it. So we were saying, and if you're thinking about hiring a coach, I think it's important that like any coach you go to, you're not going to get everything you could possibly want out of that coach, right? Like
Yeah.
you're going to get some things you really like, some things maybe that you don't really like, but you really want to find people that are good for you at a specific time in your career and
Mm,
really people that you're going to vibe with, right? Like I remember the first one I did, I spent a ton of money, super excited about it, but I felt like the person didn't really care whether I was
yeah.
successful or not, and that was kind of hard to stomach, right? Like
Yeah.
this person doesn't really give a shit whether I do well or not do well. So okay, cool. It doesn't mean I never get a coach again because there's a lot of great things I still learned. It's just like if you have a bad slice of pizza, it's not like you never have pizza again, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're gonna find the people that are right fit for you, which is why for me, I'm never threatened having someone who like you, who's like technically my competition. I don't care.
Sure.
At some point, someone will work with you. At some point, they'll work with me.
Yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. They're
100%.
gonna get help from everyone, and the people that are, I guess, worried about the person down the street from them, like business wise, like their competition. Uh, you should always be striving to be your best, regardless of who's around you, business wise. But uh, you shouldn't let that deter you from having good relationships. It's funny because there are some people, very few, but there are some people who I have invited on the show, and they're just like, yeah, I don't know, we're in the same industry.
Yeah.
What's the benefit to me? And I'm like, well, you can show off like your services and not only that, but people see like the more intimate side of you instead of
Yeah.
just seeing
Yeah.
ads. And they're
Right.
like, nah, no thanks. I don't see how that helps me. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And it's like those, and it's funny because those are the people who are, in my opinion, probably don't do the best or the top in the industry. But the people who are at the top and the best that like I see, let's say the most often or have the best
Yeah.
reputation, those people are like, yeah, let's do it. Sounds good. Awesome. It's never like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. Like you do coaching too. Who cares? It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that it's kind of the same thing, like, for a martial arts school owner, like one of the things that you have to get through your head when you're in your own local market is you're not competing against the school down the street. You're competing against all the other activities, all the other types of things, the distractions that your ideal student is going to get into. And so it's really the same, gosh, you and I are not competing against each other. You and I are competing against business owners spending their money on going to tournaments when they should be spending their money on investing in their business
Good point.
to grow it, and then being stuck in an insanity loop but doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That's where I think, collaborations like this is really good. It's really good for the industry. I mean, we talk about, gosh, this industry talks about being humble, being respectful, having self-control, showing kindness and courtesy, but do the top people show it? That really is a testament of, I think, people's character. Like, can you do that? And, I think that you're serving a particular amount of people and people that need to work with you. I think I'm serving people that need to work with me. And the crazy thing is that probably when the day is done, if you've been in the martial arts industry for 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to have worked with the best of the best because you want to be the best. Well, hopefully, if you've been in 20 years and haven't gone anywhere, that's a different story. But hopefully, you're trying to get better and better. That's my viewpoint, at least.
Yeah, I think the people at the top, who are the leaders or thought leaders in the industry, that I think that from my experience, they've been like pretty amazing and gracious, right? Especially as I transition from like running schools, which I still have schools, but
Yeah.
focusing more on coaching. They've been like super welcoming and helpful and like awesome. It's the people that are like middle towards the bottom that maybe have been coaching for like 15 or 20 years and not really so relevant anymore.
Yeah.
or just like don't seem to have that great of a business. Those are the ones that are like so worried about that stuff. And it's like, well, maybe
Right.
if you didn't worry about those things, you'd be more successful. Maybe if you ran a martial arts school and you didn't worry about what the taekwondo school down the street or the jujitsu school is doing down the street,
Yeah.
and just focus on your systems and be consistent, then you'd be successful. And one of the things I always say is like, if you're gonna run a business, a martial arts school, and you want to be successful, you can't work another job. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know like some people need to make ends meet for their family or whatever. I get that.
Yeah.
But I don't know anyone who runs a martial arts school and also does something else like full time that's like really successful where they want to be. Okay. They're
Yeah.
usually just half in both.
Yeah, I think that that's where a lot of people start, right? Like I know, my story is like I grew up in the martial arts. My dad started the school before I was born, and then I was born into it. And at 3 years old, training at home, at 5 years old in class, and so all throughout my childhood, and this goes to your point of just not really being where you want to be. All throughout my childhood, he was in construction, like he was on construction jobs. He was a superintendent. He was doing cabinetry work, building fences. I mean, I remember going on jobs with him to go help him and like hold stuff. And the challenging thing is when I turned 18, that pivotal moment where it's like, okay, what are you going to do with your life? What are your plans? I had my grandparents going, you got to go to college. This is your full ride. We'll pay for it. And me going, I don't want to do anything else except martial arts. And then my dad going, well, we can't keep doing what we've been doing the last 20 years because it hasn't worked. And so it's like,
Mm.
okay, well, what are we going to do? And so I've been blessed and been fortunate to have gone, you know what? I'm going to do whatever it takes to be successful. I'm going to go get mentorship, coaching with the blessing of my parents. Dad was still working full time doing that. But, at 18, like I didn't have to worry about getting out on the street and paying rent myself. I just had to take care of my car and my car insurance, and I had a roof over my head and food on the table. So it allowed me to go full time. And so that allowed us within 4.5 years, we went from making a few $1,000s a month to making over $1 million a year in 4.5 year window. So in the time frame that someone would have gone to college, gotten a degree, been in debt, then be searching for their first job, we were already making over $1 million a year. And within a year, my dad got to quit his full-time construction job, and just as a family, that's all we did. But man, like I think you definitely need to be the point where you either play the real dangerous line of just going, okay, I'm going to go broke. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go broke. Or you build up a bit of a safety net. And at this stage of life, being a parent, being married, like all those things, I would never, ever, ever just feel like I have no additional resources. But I think I would definitely save up, save up, save up, and then say, I'm done. And now I've got a 3-month runway to replace my income. You know what I mean? Like that's what I
Yeah.
would do now. That would be my advice. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, if you want to have a safety net or you have people that depend on you, it's a little bit
Yeah.
different, right? Like, I was kind of the same way. I was a college student, and I was living in my parents' house in the basement. So, like, I can go get food in the fridge.
Yeah.
My a car. I got a car. Yeah, I pay for gas or insurance, and it's really like I had a huge safety net, right? That's why the first 2 years when like the first year I made like $4,800 or something like that, like in personal income. The second year was
Yeah.
like 60,000, and I could do that and it'd be okay. But at some point, you got to go. I'm going balls to the wall because if you're too comfortable, it's like you're trying to steal second base and keep your foot on first.
Yeah.
Right? You got to risk it. And I just don't know anyone who kind of does the in between. Like you, I mean, your dad's the proof of that, right? Like you worked in construction, had the martial arts school. When you took over and like I'm going to go balls to the wall, then it took off. Then he can join you, which is like
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you go to school for, or did you have any like business education before that, or did you just figure it out along the way?
No, so I always had a deep interest in business and marketing and sales. I mean, this was pre Google and YouTube. So like I would just go to the library at 12 and 13, 14 years old. I'm also a homeschooled kid. So like, and I'm an only child. So, whatever I wanted to dive deep into, I could. And my parents, allowed me to do that. And so I would just go to the library instead of borrowing all these fiction books or whatever. Like I would come home with stacks of business books, and I would get through with my schoolwork that I needed to get through so I could go read business books, so that I could go figure out how to make money. And I was doing a lot of those things, trying to figure out, how do you apply this general business concept to martial arts? But there is a big gap between, let's just say, like what Chick-fil-A does to acquire customers and what a martial arts school would do to acquire customers. Now, if you have the business knowledge where you can like chain those things together, yeah, you can make it make sense. Like, if you're an expert in martial arts, you might have, a first degree in Taekwondo, and then you might go over to Muay Thai class. You're going to get the basic mechanics. The functionality of the kicks is going to be different, but you get the basic mechanics. It's an easier transition. And I think that that's kind of the difference is I had no foundation at all. So, at 18, that's when we actually went in and started investing into coaching. And it was something where it wasn't like we could actually afford it. I think that's another thing. People are like, well, I'll invest into coaching when it makes sense, when I can afford it. Well, it's never going to make sense for you to invest in coaching. And if it does, I would challenge you that you probably don't need that coach. Like if it's like, like you and I are probably going to be investing way more than most martial arts school owners, when you're talking about 20, 30, 40, 50K a year, to be in a mastermind, to be around people, dropping that kind of cash. It's not like, oh, well, I just got an extra, 50K hanging out. I guess I'll just go give it to somebody. Like it needs to be painful enough that you use the information. And if it's not painful enough, then why are you doing it? Like you're not going to be motivated to do it. So yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah, there's enough free information on the internet to do
Yeah.
anything, right? It's just, are you going to take action? And if you pay for a program, like you pay 10 or 15 or, 45 for a whole year or something, you're gonna do it, right? And the example I like to use for that is someone gives you baseball tickets and you're with your family and they give you tickets to go to the game and you're like, all right, cool, let's go to the game, guys. And like you're getting ready to get in the car, you open the door, you look outside, and the weather doesn't look great. It's like kind of cloudy, it might
Yeah.
rain. You're like, you know what? Forget it. I don't want to get rained on, right? But if you bought those tickets and you go outside with your family, you look out, it might rain. You're like, get in the car, I paid for these tickets. Let's go. We're going to the game, right? It's
Exactly.
a totally different situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, you should be a little scared, like you said. I think that was a really good way of putting it. So when you took over, I guess from your dad doing it full time, like, were you, I don't know, like blindly ambitious, like, oh, I can definitely do this, or were you nervous that like, okay, I might mess
Yeah.
up my dad's business? Like, what was your thought process at the time? Do you
Yeah.
remember?
I mean, I definitely was like, hey, like I've always had a high level of self belief. And I think that comes from martial arts and growing up in the martial arts. And I was fortunate enough that my dad was a martial arts instructor that not only taught like how to punch, kick, and defend yourself, but also the character attributes, which nowadays is like normal. Like if you're not teaching that, you're like, what are you doing? What you
Yeah.
should be teaching focus and confidence. But back when I was growing up, when you were growing up, like, that wasn't really a norm yet. It was people that were being more consistent about it, or they would teach those life skills, or mat chats as they used to call them. And so being around that really helped me have a high level of self belief. I was a competitor, so I obviously had that. So anytime something was in front of me, my mindset was, when somebody told me, well, you can't do that, I would go, watch me.
Mm.
That was always my mindset. So I really don't. My dad, um, I think my mom definitely believed that we can make this work and make it happen. My dad was kind of, to be honest, just super frustrated. He'd been trying to work at growing the school for a really long time. Really good friends of ours had a school that had over 600 students as well, and very successful in other areas. So like I knew it was possible. I just didn't know how to get there. And so that's when we invested into that mentorship. And I just listened to everything that my mentor told me to do, even if it sounded the craziest thing. I just did it, and I didn't question it. And I find that like my most successful clients, like I have a client that Caleb, he started with us. He had 15 students. Technically, it was really closer to like 10 because 5 of them were his family members. But he started off with 15. And the good thing is he didn't have to break bad habits or break down systems he'd already built because he didn't have any. And so he literally copied our system. And within 4 months, he had already gotten all the way up to like 70 students. The next 6 months, he doubled again. He was at 140. Like, he's been working with us for about 20 months now. And he's like at 200 students right now. His life's completely changed. It's crazy what can happen when you follow what the person who has been there and done it before, when you follow their steps, then you can quickly get to levels of success that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise.
What do you think is different about Caleb than some other people that they might even pay for your service? Like, as a coach, we all have this, right? People pay
Yeah.
for the service, they don't get the results they want. And they leave angry. We leave like disappointed because we wanted them to be successful, right? If
Sure.
we could say all of our clients do amazing, it's not true. Okay,
Yeah.
some are not going to do amazing because they're not going to take action. Like, you tell them what to do, and they just find a bunch of reasons why that's not going to work instead of showing you why it can, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's always the same reason I love, like, people ask all the time, like, why do you want people to pay in full? Like, why is it good? Whether it's a martial arts student or a coaching
Mm-hmm.
client. First of all, I like to call it early pay because it sounds a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
But second of all, the reason why I like it is because when you pay for something up front and like you give all the money to it, when there's a challenge, you look for a solution and try to
Mm-hmm.
fix it. But when you're paying like month to month or something, like, when there's a challenge, you're often looking for a way out to not pay that
Yeah.
next month. And that's where people get stuck. So if you're really committed to something, just pay for it, and then you're going to find a way to make it worth it, not find a way
Yeah.
out when things are difficult.
Yeah, yeah. I think so we have four core values at Seven Figure Dojo and in my schools that we drill into everybody. So the first is being all in. And I think that was one of the big pieces, like what you're saying, like when you do pay in advance, you're all in, you put all of your eggs in that basket. So you're completely all in. And I think that is huge. You either have to be the type of person who, when you say, and I think martial artists in general will say this, but I don't know that they all do it. I know they all don't all do it. Most martial arts school owners will say, yeah. If I say I'm going to do it, I'll do it, but they won't. They won't. So you either have to be the type of person who is like old school, like my word is my bond, and if I said I was going to do it, it doesn't matter what's happening, I'm going to get it done. And I think that's what I grew up with that from my dad. So like when I said I was going to do it, like I'm going to do it. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to do it, even if I don't necessarily have all the money to go all in. So you've either got to do that, or you got to be the person that you're going to use something as a measurement of how all in you are. And that measurement is money. So you put your money where your mouth is, right? And then you go all in. So I think that was huge for Caleb. The second is extreme ownership. That's our second core value. And when things don't work out, Caleb doesn't go, oh my gosh, Seven Figure Dojo just such horrible advice. Jennifer was wrong, totally wrong. Caleb goes, man, I didn't execute on that the right way. What am I missing? Jennifer, can you walk me through? Because I tried to do 1, 2, 3, and then I did 7. And I go, well, what happened to 4, 5, and 6? Oh, I didn't do that. I didn't think it was important. I was like, that's the important piece. That's why it didn't work. So being introspective instead of being explosive is a huge trait of the successful. When you can turn inward and you can look and analyze what went wrong, what do I need to change? Did I miss a step? And so that for him was great. The third is always learning. So he is on every single call that he can be on with his coach. And then he's in our highest level program now, the boardroom. He's on my boardroom calls every single week. He carves out time in his schedule to be there. And then the fourth is great, not good. So he's not just settling. Like 200 students is pretty good. He's making decent money now. His kids are taken care of, like he feels good, but he doesn't want to stop there. He wants to be great and not just good, and those are all traits of the most successful, which is one of the reasons why we picked those core values. What do you think are the biggest roadblocks for the people that you work with to stop them from being super successful?
That's a great question. Well, for me, it's a little bit different because I'm focusing all on organic, okay, at
Hmm.
least for the most part. So organic, as it is in the name, it requires work,
Yeah.
right? So it's not easy to do, but if you do it, if you like dig that well, like you put your shovel in the dirt, and the first couple of times you strike the soil is going to be hard, but and you're going to get tired as you do it. But as you start to dig a hole, eventually you're going to have a well that you can drink out of every single year. But that problem is, I guess, that really that first part, because there's 3 steps that I teach people to do. So I call it the Triangle Codex. It's kind of like my term for it, my
Yeah.
strategy. So the first part is like to get into schools. Like I'm talking about elementary schools, so
Hmm.
all the way up to like 8th grade. And the first part of that is to hack your way in. Okay, so how do you actually get accepted? Because it's more difficult to get in schools now than it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago,
Sure.
20 years ago, you just kind of walk in. Now, because of school shootings
Yeah.
and because of COVID, there's extra security, right? Sometimes they
Hmm.
even have an armed guard, or they have like a fingerprint or a picture, and there's usually a vestibule you have to walk in
Yeah.
first. So not only do you have the gatekeeper, but you have the gate to the gatekeeper,
Yeah.
right?
A
So
legit
that,
gatekeeper.
yeah, exactly. So now it's just harder to get in. So if you don't have the right strategy, know the right script, or know which way to get in, it's not always going to be the front door. Sometimes it's going to be the back door. And because we're dealing with people and not like an algorithm, like Facebook ads or Google ads is pretty um like you can tell it's working or not working,
Yeah.
right?
There's measurements
When
to
you're
it.
doing it's yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, am I getting leads? Okay, are they converting? Okay, awesome. How much are those leads costing, right? So, but with organic, it's like, okay, first you got to hack your way in. That's like the first part. And there might be a couple different strategies we use because we're dealing with people, not an algorithm. If this one doesn't work, this strategy, cool. There's another strategy, and there's another strategy, and like one of those is going to work eventually. Um, but you have to be willing to like fail, be in front of people, right? It's
Hmm.
almost like the martial arts equivalent of cold calling, but not really,
Yeah.
because what I envisioned is that martial arts artists would love this. Like I liked it because this is how I transformed like my school. Like I was following Maya. I was following everything Dave Kovar told me, everything my mentor, my brother told me, Solomon,
Yeah.
what everyone was telling me, and I was doing everything I could possibly imagine. But I just couldn't really get past that, like I would say 15K ish a month, and I really felt like I
Yeah.
was doing everything. Like I had no other obligations in my life. It was the only thing I was doing. I was like, I remember specifically flyering on Thanksgiving when it was snowing because I
Well,
figured,
yeah.
oh, people are going to be in their house, and I'll go to dinner later in my family, but people are going to be in their house now. It's a good time. And people are
Yeah.
like looking out their window, like, who's this person? And it wasn't until I figured out how to hack my way into schools and actually do programs that I refined. Because first time you do it, like you don't really know how to convert people,
Yeah.
right? So it took like years to figure out like and refining. So the first part is hacking your way in, and I think that's a little bit hard because you're dealing with people, and I might tell someone how to do something, but then they might not do it that way when they're actually in the moment,
Right.
right? They're not. There's no like magic email. Do I give them emails and templates and scripts to work off of? Yes, but it still has to be delivered the right way. I can show you how to do a front kick and tell it to you a million times, but until you do it a bunch of times and get a bunch of reps, that's what it
Hmm.
takes to get good at it. A front kick, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the hardest part is hacking your way in. And then like after that, it's like, okay, how do I create a program that's really fun and exciting for the school that they want to have me back every single year? And
Hmm.
it's not just like a commercial. Okay. And then the third thing is actually converting those students to new members.
Hmm.
So within the process, they're not going to do everything perfectly right the first time. Okay. So when they first come on board with me, I have them we go systematically through each school, and we also do daycares. It's the second part of the Triangle
Yeah.
Codex, um, and I'll have them go through each part individually. But they might be good at one part and not the other, but that's all right. Like, okay, cool. You did a good job of hacking your way in. You did a good job of setting up the program. You didn't do a good job of converting. Okay, cool. Now we just got to fix that one little part. If we fix that one part, then it's all going to be ducks in a row, right?
Right.
Same thing it sounds like with Caleb. Like you might do 1 through 6, mess up 7 through 9, but you
Hmm.
got 10. Okay, cool. That's just great. So I think the trouble I have is getting people like really that first win quickly. Cause like a Facebook ad you can put up and get some leads right away. It's like, oh, it's working. It sounds good. Right. Like
Yeah.
you can kind of have that beginning thing. Now so for me, it's like, okay, this is going to be a slower play. Remember, we're digging a well. It takes time to dig a well. But once you do it, once you create programs in your community, they could do year after year after year. You'll drink from that well forever. It's evergreen. But
Mm,
it takes work, and most people will not do it because it requires work. And like, I tell them they need to do about 3 hours of work per week, focused solely on
yeah.
organic. That's not a lot.
No,
Okay.
no, I thought you were about to say like 20 hours a week because
No.
I would do that. I did that back in the day. Like I'm on the street, man, like beating down doors. Yeah.
Yeah, like well, in terms of this stuff, like I teach them like, hey, 3 hours a week, you'll be good, and you'd be shocked how many times I get on the phone. That doesn't happen often, but with some people, some clients, it's like, oh yeah, I didn't have time. Oh, I did this. Oh, I did that. Oh, I did that. And I'm like, okay, well, when are you gonna do this? Like, they're doing a
Mm,
lot of churning their wheels, and they're not focusing on money making activities. I'm like,
yeah.
I promise you, if you do this thing, there's nothing more important. You came on here because maybe you're not getting the lead quality you want, right? Or you're not getting your website leads or whatever. You're not getting the inflow that you need. If you just put in this work, this is how you get control back. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
so it wasn't necessarily their strategy that wasn't working. It's usually them, like them, they're holding themselves back. They're just doing menial tasks and busy work that's not really
Right.
moving the ball forward. So for me, that's like my biggest frustration, because if they once they get that first one and they're in front of people, they get to use their charisma, and that's what they're
Mm,
good at. They're martial arts teachers. Like, so I always thought that because martial arts teachers are charismatic and they're engaging, they would love to do this part, like setting up, like almost the cold call, like when you're kind of like going
yeah.
to schools for the first time. But for some people, it's a lot harder than others, and that's what I'm kind of learning is like, how do I prepare them mentally for
Yeah.
that part of it?
Yeah. Yeah. That totally makes sense for sure.
So for you now, like when you think about yourself and your identity, do you think of yourself first as like a martial artist, an entrepreneur, a coach? Like,
Yeah.
what do you think yourself as?
Yeah. I guess really the thing that I think about myself is just a system sensei, like whether it's the way I approach fighting, because I competed in kickboxing, MMA, jujitsu, um, and the way I always approached fighting was very systematic. Like I made sure that I stayed on a certain diet. I made sure that I was following a certain routine with my workouts. If my heart rate was elevated too much, we didn't work out. There was a lot of systems that went into fighting because I wanted the most efficient way possible to fight. And then as we started off growing our school and got it to 1 million, and then you know continued moving forward and have had different locations, and um, we have a new location opening up in the spring of this coming year, 2025. We got
Nice.
franchises that are rolling out as well. So like all those things now, I mean, I still live, breathe martial arts. Like I love doing it. I love being out there. I don't go in and teach classes every single day. Um, I go and I teach the classes that I really enjoy teaching. Like I'm gonna go and I'm gonna teach sparring class tonight because I love fighting. So I'm gonna go teach people how to punch and kick and hit other people in the head with light contact. But
Maybe
yeah,
unless it piss you off. Yeah, I'm just
no, it is what it is,
kidding.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I enjoy doing those things, but I wouldn't say that I'm just a martial artist, and I wouldn't say that I'm just a business owner or I'm just a coach. Like I really love systems. I love building systems. And what is a system? A system is a set of processes that you do repeatedly to get the result that you desire, right? So if I can build systems that get that result that I desire and it's repeatable, well, now I can take the system and kind of hand it off to somebody else.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, that's more what I see myself as. Definitely, there's a lot of other business ventures that have opened up over the last year and that are opening up this year. So I think that I'll probably be venturing a little bit more outside of martial arts as well. Um, but I don't think you get the martial artist, especially when you start as a kid. It doesn't leave you, and it feels like it is my first love, is
mm.
martial arts.
What are you thinking about doing outside the industry? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so we have a couple of joint venture projects. So we have a martial arts supply equipment company as well that we formed. So it's Tetsu Fight Company. and we've got a couple of joint ventures there. And then the other joint
Like you're going to
ventures.
start manufacturing, or like talking to factories in China,
Yeah,
like sort of thing?
yeah.
Okay.
So we've actually been doing it when the supply chain issues hit back in like 2020 and everything like that. You know, our main school had 500, 600 students that needed gear and equipment. And so we were just like, well, we'll figure out how to do this stuff since the major players in the industry were not able to deliver. And so we just did it for our own school. And then we've had clients that were like, okay, well, you know, I really want to be able to do this. And I think that the thing that makes this part unique is we really come at it from the perspective of a school owner. Like, as a school owner, you don't want that major industry's stamp or brand on your uniform or your sparring equipment. You just want your brand on your sparring equipment. So, or on your uniforms. And so that's what we are trying to do with Tetsu Fight Company. Like, we are the ninja silent partner in the relationship. We'll get you the gear, we'll get you the uniforms, we'll get you all the stuff you need, and it won't have our logo on it at all. Just yours. Of course, if you are wanting something else that just has our logo randomly, sure, you can do that. But a lot of people are being receptive to that. So we partnered up with a couple of people there. And then like I said, I have some other things I'm working on outside the industry as well, some speaking opportunities and some things just kind of working on being able to develop some marketing and some sales systems. And I've done some of that for some interesting companies so far. So I'm just trying to see, you know, some of the things that I like doing. And um, I think that it's pretty wide as far as the possibilities. And it feels like, you know, when you earn your first degree black belt, whatever style that you earn it in, um, and then you start venturing into maybe other styles and cross training and things, you layer what you've already learned into that other style. And so I think that's the same for business, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds exciting too.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
That's really cool. You know, it's funny because when you said you don't want the other brand's name on there, that's never bothered me. I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah, like maybe it bothers other people. I don't know. For me, it's like I literally never thought like, oh, I'm really upset that that brand is on there. You know, Century
yeah,
Asia. We're like, I don't care. I don't know. Never. But we always had our brand on there too. Like
right.
that's really important.
Yeah,
So
definitely have to
whether
be
what,
branded.
yeah, all your stuff should 100% be branded. So now that you're operating it in different ventures, it's like kind of I guess on the side. I'm just curious. You mentioned something about systems is what you love the most. So,
Yeah.
what system do you use that you feel like you're the best at? Maybe it's something with a CRM you use, or I don't know, Zapier, or
Oh,
something like specific that someone's like, oh, that's a great idea.
yeah, I think it's really just understanding how to get a business to $1 million really fast. Um, my firm belief is that if you're not striving to get your business to $1 million as fast as humanly possible, um, you're really leaving yourself open to a lot of liability. And when I say liability, what I mean is that when you're running $1 million business, you have stability there because number one, you should have stability there. But number one, you're probably not doing it by yourself, which is great because you're not doing it alone. There's other people you can rely on. I mean, I don't know about you, but I remember having strep throat and still having to go teach. Like, who who does that? Like, you're probably going to infect other kids or people, right? But like, you know, I mean, it's stupid back in the day. But the school had to be open. Like, we had to have it open. There was no one else to teach. There was no one else to do the stuff that we needed done. Or just being able to go, you know what? I do want to close down for a few days so I can go visit family for this family emergency thing I've got going on, but going, you know what, I got to tell my family, no, I can't because I got to run my business. I just talked with a school owner that this happened to, and I was like, that's awful. You know, like family members passing away and like they can't leave to go grieve their family because they're just stuck. It's horrible. Um, and so I think just getting, I call it the 7-figure formula, being able to go through the 7 specific steps to go all the way up to that 7 figures as rapidly as possible. And so just being able to, it's been fun being able to like plug it in and then seeing it happen. You know, the first time we did it was like 4.5 years, right? Like that's, it could have gone faster if I would have known what I know now. It would have gone a lot faster. You know, the second business was 18 months. You know, I'd like to get the next business in 12 months to $1 million, you know, and like just keep cutting down that time. Um, but there's a sequence, and that's what people, they think that it's just one thing. They think that it's just marketing, or they think that it's having great classes. And it's not. There's a sequence that you have to start with in order to actually get there. And then once you are that $1 million, now you have something you didn't have before. You have the ability to decide what you want to focus on. If you want to focus on running the highest end school that you can, building up your team, providing careers, putting money away as like a nest egg or things like that, now you have that ability and the bandwidth to do it if you're running your business correctly by the numbers. But if you're like at 15,000 a month when you used to be doing that, like there's no way that you could start thinking about those things, and providing for yourself in the future. So that's it was a long version there, or a long story to answer your question. That I think that that's what I like to focus on the most. Um, but I'm curious, like on your side of things, what would you say is your area of expertise that people should know and about you?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So for me, the organic side is definitely what I'm best at. Is how can I get students where I can control it within the next 6 to 8 weeks, where I can have flows of new students. And because we do it through mass enrollment. I think you guys do mass enrollment too. You guys like to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, we've done that too.
Because
Yeah.
then you can control, because you guys do like martial arts workshops sort of things, right? Like free
Uh,
workshops
I
for the
w- we have
community.
a big introductory lesson room, so we actually just schedule semi-private intros and just depending. But I totally get the idea because like we still do school talks and things like that, school programs. Huge believer in that. Um, and so like we can get people to come in like 7 to 10 kids, but we've had as many as like 20 kids, 25 kids at one time. So totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, so I think for me, learning the step-by-step system of and refining over a decade, like how do I do a mass enrollment versus one-on-one? One-on-one's pretty easy. You can build rapport with someone, they get to
Yeah.
like you, answer questions. The hard part is, okay, how do I enroll 10 or 15 like at one time and
Mm,
answer the questions they might be having in their head that they're not going to say out loud that you can't answer
yeah.
because there's not one person in front of you. So a lot of it is pre-framing. Like what I give people is I give them the emails to send to people, the texts to send to people beforehand. That's all pre-framing over and over again. Like they get a
Mm,
copy, and we don't do this in any other situation, but for the Triangle Codex for daycares and schools. So for them, we give them a copy of the schedule in advance and a copy of our memberships in advance. So when they come in, they already know like how this is going to work. Then we'll have a special offer that day where we discount a bunch of things and it's like extra
mm,
amazing and irresistible offer. But we
yeah.
get that stuff in advance. In the beginning, I was like scared to do that. But then I realized like after we built, but by the way, we don't do that if someone just like calls us or visits our website or something.
Yeah.
It's only if we've have built some rapport by doing a couple of classes with them already at their school,
Hmm.
and then we have that like kind of rapport built.
Yeah.
But I would say that's a really really big thing, because if you get all that stuff in advance and they've already talked about the schedule and at least seen the membership price, they don't have, it's harder for them to say, oh, let me talk to my husband or wife. And like for me, I love sales. Like I really really enjoy it. And so one of the things I teach my clients is, okay, if you're going to do a mass enrollment with sales presentation, you got to think, okay, what is everyone thinking? So one thing a lot of people are going to be thinking is, this sounds great, I want to do it, but I need to talk to my husband
Mm,
or wife or whoever.
yeah.
So that's just an objection, right? Every objection you can handle, right? It doesn't mean you'll always overcome it, but like there's a way to handle it that will get some people. So one of the things I tell them is, okay, make sure that you offer them a guarantee and you say out loud what they're thinking. So you'll go over an offer, and then at the end you say, by the way, if you think this is amazing and you're like, oh my God, I'd love to do it, but I need to talk to my husband or wife or whoever just to make sure. The good thing is that we have a 30-day action guarantee, which means if you come to class twice a week for 30 days and you don't absolutely love it, then you can cancel, or we'll say sometimes like give your money back. That way there's
Yeah.
zero risk and there's all reward. So that
Hmm.
way there's no risk whatsoever. You can just start today and your husband or wife will be happy you did it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, cool. And now I can answer some of those questions. Now that's going to be a difference between 2 people enrolling or 5 people enrolling, right?
Sure.
Or the difference between 1 and 2 or 3 and 4, right?
Yeah.
But that's gonna add up all the times you do it. That's compounding. Um, I think I'm really excited about that I'm working on now. Uh, that is, I would say, a tech challenge for me.
Yeah.
Is I want, and I'm trying. So I want people to be able to give me their information. So I'm pretty close to having this done, but give me their information, like their name, number, email, business address, stuff like that, like kind of basic info.
Mm.
And then I have an AI report that will generate based on my strategy and their area, like all the information that they will need to be successful and an organic growth plan tied to those statistics of their area. Okay. So the problem
Cool.
is this, I need like school data. Like
Yeah.
that's the hard part. And I need and I need to connect with a couple different websites. And
Mm.
I actually spent like 8 to 10 hours last night just doing this, and I couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, all right, who do I pay to fix my problem? Um, I
Yeah.
really thought I was gonna get it, but like, I thought it'd be so cool. And if you're listening to this now, by the time this comes out, it'll definitely be done. Hopefully, um, it's like, okay, you'll give me your information, cool. You'll get, and I'll do this like literally for free, and it'll be like, okay, here's all the schools in your area. If you convert this percentage, which is what we look for, you'll make this amount of money. This percentage, this amount of money, and then here's the strategy you need to do that. If you want help, give me a call or schedule a call or whatever. And I'm sure some of those people will be like, great, I love help doing this. Like, help me, right? And they'll sign up. So that to me, like especially with ChatGPT, for the school owners who still don't use AI or
Yeah.
ChatGPT every
Gonna get
day,
left
it's like
behind.
I talk to ChatGPT more than I talk to my girlfriend, right? Like I am
Yeah.
on that crap all day, and it makes things so much easier. If you're thinking like, oh, I'm not sure like what email to send to this group of leads or text to send this group of leads, have you ever thought about asking ChatGPT? Hey, what
Yeah.
do I send them? Right? Like
Yeah.
I do that all the time. You're gonna have to adjust it, but you could also train ChatGPT to write like you, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, for
I
sure.
I I submitted all my writing, or not all, but as much as I could copy and paste where I couldn't do anymore or didn't feel like
Yeah.
doing anymore into ChatGPT, and now it writes like me. And I still need to give
Mhm.
it like my thoughts and ideas and refine it, but it gets pretty damn close. Like if you would give me something it wrote for my like I have one that's specific for me, if you gave me something of that writing and said, "Hey Matt, did you write this?" I was like, "Yeah, I wrote that. That's me." And
Yeah.
that's eerie and a little scary, but like you could do the same
Yeah.
thing for your martial arts school for your students. Like you can have a newsletter for your martial arts school, or you can have a marketing email that goes out every day. It's not that hard anymore. There's no excuse.
No, it's not. It's not. And for people like my dad back in the day, he construction guy, like he's not gonna sit there and write a newsletter,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that are gifted at writing and there are people that are not, and it's okay to not be gifted at it. It's not okay to use a tool that has been developed. I think that utilizing something like ChatGPT, I mean, just any sort of AI that you can implement and that you can use in your business is the smartest thing that you can do. Um, I mean, could you imagine if you had, speaking of construction, just because my dad was around it and I was around it all the time, but can you imagine if you had somebody come and say, "Yeah, I'll build you a house, but I only use primitive tools, no saws, like I'm not going to use a drill. It's only a hammer, hand saws only. We have to hand plane all your wood because I can't get it from like we have to chop down the tree. Like no, you would not. Your house might get built, but it may take years
Right.
to build your house, right? Well, we don't think twice about the fact that there's cordless hand saws, there's cordless drills. Like there's all these things now that technology has allowed to happen so we can get things done faster. And AI is that technology. Whether you like it or you don't, if you're not using AI in your business, you are going to get left behind. Like it's inevitable. You're going to get left behind.
How do you use it? Like what do you use it for?
Oh, we use it for tons of stuff. Obviously, the easy stuff, right? Emails, text messages, social media posts. We'll use it for somebody writes you a review, whether good or bad. We'll spit that review into ChatGPT and spit it out because, like, so many people don't even update their Google My Business, and you should be doing that. So that's one of the things we do with our school and we teach our clients. So you should be utilizing that. Utilizing as much as possible when you can actually, like, with our clients, we have an option where they can actually have an AI bot that will help start those communications with a lead and get them to the point where they're booking an appointment. And it's not, sometimes when people are like, oh my gosh, it's just going to be you just sending one text and then it's responding based off of keywords. No, no, no. Like, it is literally, the technology is understanding what that person is saying and is framing it in the way that it's been trained to do within parameters to be able to help guide them through the script and the conversation to set an appointment. And the great thing is when you're utilizing AI, as long as it's, hey, don't go outside these parameters, stick within these bounds, it's probably going to do a better job than most of the time you paying a 17 or 18-year-old to text back a lead. So we use it for that. We have a lot of different use cases where, even brainstorming or problem solving, like if you have a situation, you're like, man, I just don't know what to do. I've got this particular situation happening. Maybe if you're trying to grow your leadership team or you're trying to grow your staff, it's like, okay, well, how do I grow my staff? Like, I've got a younger person that I want to bring in, but the older people that are over here, how do I make sure that they're not upset because I'm bringing in the younger person? Scenario-based situations, ChatGPT is amazing to put in scenarios. And then if you ask it, hey, give me 3 different viable options that I could use to solve this scenario. And that's a piece that I think some people aren't utilizing it for. They're only utilizing it for emails or social media. But when you can get this supercomputer to help you solve problems, it's a game changer.
That's a good idea. I've thought about using it that way, but never actually did. Like
Oh, it's huge.
how to have a difficult conversation, maybe even if it's like with a loved one or something.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I want to talk about this, but I'm not sure how to say it. I
Yeah.
think where people get deterred is if they don't use it very often and they're not necessarily sure how to use it, so they'll give it very limited information. They'll give it
Mm,
like a broken sentence and expect it to just know what they want. The
yeah.
more detailed you are, the better it's going to answer it's going to give you. And if you're not sure what details to put in there, say, "Hey, I want to solve this problem, and what questions do you have about this problem so you can best help me?" Like, ask it what it needs from you in order for it to help you, and then I'll give you a list of questions.
Yeah.
I've been experimenting with a real estate investing GPT. I
Mm,
didn't create it; it's just one that's already on there,
yeah.
right? So if you pay for ChatGPT, for people who don't know, you get access to it's almost like apps in like an app store sort of thing, but
Mhm.
they're GPTs that are custom, and each one will be specialized or trained in a specific area. So there's like a real estate one, and there's a fitness one, and there's a therapy one. I bet the therapy one's amazing. I haven't used it, but I feel like that's got to be good.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I mean, a therapy one, if it could draw from like every therapy book that's like ever been written, like
Yeah.
how could that not be good, right? So
Genius.
anyway, so the real estate one I'm excited about. I've already used like twice now, where in like real life situations, which is I gave it my real estate portfolio. I told it how much I purchase things for, how much I get for rent,
Mhm.
where they are. Like I said, what information do you need? It asked me a bazillion questions, right?
Yeah.
Answer all the questions. So I understood my real estate investing philosophy, like what I'm comfortable with, and now if I get like a real estate agent that calls me or I see something online, I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. I just put the address in there and say, hey, does this align with my real estate investing philosophy? And it'll tell me. It'll say, hey, the
Wow,
cap rate
that's
would be this,
amazing.
this will be that. Yeah. And it's like, it's unbelievable. And then like sometimes they'll
Great.
say, so like let's say a cap rate is like 5%, which is like not very good. And I want a cap rate
Yeah.
to be 8%. I would say, okay, what do I need to offer in order to make the cap rate 8%? And it'll tell me the number. I'm dumb at math. I don't know, but I'm good enough to ask ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, cool, write me a letter with that offer explaining why it needs to be that amount of money in order to get that cap rate and make a logical argument I can send to the real estate agent. And it'll literally write me a letter with like the numbers. And I've sent it to real estate agents. I did this twice. And they're like, wow, yeah, you're absolutely right. That does make sense. I'll talk to the owner. Sometimes the owner, I mean, one of the situations, the owner said, I don't care. This is what I'm asking. Okay, well, great. That's fine.
Yeah.
Right. But the other situation, I was like really intrigued by the property. I thought I was going to purchase it. It was like a single family home plus an empty lot next to it that could be developed later. And I thought it was a really good deal. And when I ran the numbers through it, and after I refinanced the property, like buying cash and refinance it, that was my idea. I was going to lose like 100 or $280 a month in like cash flow. And
Mm,
like, if I was okay having money sit and losing money every month and eventually selling for 100K more 10 years from now, that's fine. But I don't want that. I don't want negative cash flow. I'm just
yeah.
not comfortable with that, right? So it really helped me. And I sent that to the real estate agent. He's like, yeah, I can't argue with that. You're right. Like, I still think it's a good move if you don't mind it, but I think it'll still pay off long term. But then I'll ask, okay, even if I sold this for $60,000 more this many years later, how much do I actually make? And it's 40 grand. Okay, minus taxes. It's not even worth the effort, right?
Right, right.
So
Sure.
if you use real estate or use ChatGPT for math, if you don't love math, it's like perfect. They'll show you the math. Definitely
Great.
better than what I could do for it. All right, so I want to kind of transition a little bit. And so you are a homeschool kid
Yeah.
and an only child. So were you a big reader because you went to
Yes.
Barnes and like
Yes.
okay. So
I
what would you
read a
say is
ton.
like what would you say is the book that made like the biggest impact on your business life? Like if you had to recommend one book, what would it be?
Oh, so hard when it goes down to one. Um, I would say when it first was starting, I think the first book that I was introduced to um, was either The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People or it was The E Myth.
Mhm.
I kind of remember both of them at the same time, so I'm not sure. I think yeah, no, Seven Habits. I was younger. I was in my early teens when I read that one. So it had to have been as far as business. I think it was the E Myth,
Mm,
or the E Myth Revisited. I think is the one that he revised. So I think that was when I started going, oh, wow. So I'm just like I'm a technician, and I'm not an owner. I'm just like doing all the things in the school, but I haven't jumped up to that next level. So really going, hey, there's different roles within a business and your business stage of growth, you're going to be wearing all the hats in the beginning and then you're going to slowly peel those hats off and give them to other people. Um, I think that's a really great book for people who have never been involved in business before, or they've maybe just been an employee, but they've never really, started with entrepreneurship and understood that. So
mm,
that was a big one for me.
mm,
Um, Most of what I read now is more leadership leaning because I think that all the things that you want to get accomplished, you learn that it's not you that's going to accomplish them. It's going to be the team that surrounds you that is going to help get it accomplished.
mm.
And uh, you got to be able to delegate. You got to be able to choose the right people. They got to fit the culture. So most of the books I read now is around leadership, or podcasts I listen to will be, around leadership. So love John Maxwell's books. Like get a ton of stuff out of that.
Which podcast do you listen to the most?
I listen to a ton. I'm like one of those YouTube podcast people that like listens to all kinds of different podcasts.
Mhm.
Um, and so if I had to like boil it down, I mean, it switches a lot. I know for a while I was listening to anything Alex Hormozy, and then just because I was like, okay, this is good marketing, sales, business advice. And then I think when he went really wide for a while, like I don't know if you remember if
Yeah.
you were watching his
Yeah.
stuff, like he
Yeah.
went really, really wide, and then it was like, I don't want to listen to this anymore. And then he came back narrow, but I don't know. I just sometimes I don't vibe with him as much as I used to. Maybe it's because I'm changing because I don't think he's really changed. But I think
No, I
I'm
don't think it's
changing.
changed at all. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I'm changing and maybe just my understanding's changing. I used to listen to Gary Vee constantly. Any podcast that I could get on, like listen to Gary Vee and like that type of thing. And I know that those aren't necessarily leadership type podcasts. Um, Myron Golden has been one that I've been listening a lot to that about leadership and vision and building, like just building lots of things. Like been listening to a lot of him lately. He has a
That's
few, I
cool.
think he has a few books, but he definitely leans heavier on the podcast side of things.
Yeah, I actually haven't really listened to Myron in a long time. I should probably revisit that.
Yeah.
Um, so now I want to ask you also kind of transition. I meant to ask you this earlier, but I
Yeah.
forgot. So when you were growing Seven Figure Dojo, start with your school and then Seven Figure Dojo. Martial arts industry is male dominated, right?
Yeah.
Now and what's even more dominated that is probably coaching in the martial arts industry or business
Mm.
coaching or agency. So how did you deal with that? Was it like kind of the same as when you started your school where you're like, I don't care, I'm just going to do it? And you just kind of have that headstrong mentality? Or like, what was your
Yeah.
experience kind of taking a leadership role as a female in the martial arts industry?
I don't think I really conceptualized or understood that it was a more of a male dominated industry. Like I just didn't even think about it until I started like getting I think I was on a sales call back in the day when I was taking sales calls, and it was like, well, first I got asked if I was like 20 years old because I guess they were just listening to my voice, and so they were like, "How old are you? How could you be running $1 million school? You're like 20 something." I'm like, "Nah, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
It's been a minute." Um, so I think that it's not been something that I really focused on. Definitely didn't focus on it. But yeah, kind of retrospectively looking at it, I guess I'm like one of the few that, females that's out there that in this industry. Um, Although there's some great females that are out here and have great advice, but um, there's definitely more men. To be honest, it kind of feels like when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was probably one of the only girls in the class. It was mostly boys taking class. Like I think I had maybe one other female in the class with me. But now when you go into my school, like half the mat are girls and the other half the mat are boys. So I think it just changes over time. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's more in this industry as the years go on, more females that are outspoken.
And I think our industry has done better at getting um, like girls in class, especially kids.
Hmm.
There's definitely more girls or female adults than ever before, but I still feel
Yeah.
like sometimes it's a little bit lacking. Like I had a podcast episode with Mike Dillard, the CEO of Century,
Yeah.
and I was talking to him about it. I was like, part of the problem is like uniforms aren't designed for women,
Yeah.
right? Is there jujitsu uniforms you can get that are more designed for women? Some of them, yeah, but those are usually high end. Like once
Hmm.
you're already into it for a while, not like beginner, right? Beginner, I don't know. For us, like our schools are karate, right?
Yeah.
So more traditional. Like they get this boxy gi that's like rough, doesn't fit them right. It's like designed for like a perfectly proportional male,
Male body.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So what is your opinion about getting like how do we get more female adults involved in martial arts?
Yeah. To your point about that, I was doing a video trailer for our school, and the videographer had always seen me just in regular street clothes. And so I put my gi on and stuff, and he was like, he didn't mean it this way, but I had to translate what he was like, whoa, like that gi like makes you look a lot bigger than you are. And I was like, like you don't say that to a female. He just was
Yeah.
not
Oh,
thinking,
no.
right? Like I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
thanks, but I understood what you were saying. So I think obviously that's going to be a huge thing, making people feel comfortable. Women have a lot of confidence challenges as an adult female trying something physical, because the reality is that most women stopped doing physical related activities when they were in high school. Maybe they did it in college, but then after that, they're an adult, they're a mom. They don't do those things anymore. So you've got to bridge that gap and get them more comfortable with it. And I think that it's one of those things where you just have to slowly kind of get them to come out on the mat, get them to start participating. That's one of the things that we do. Is we focus a lot on parent involvement and actually getting them to come on the mat. They don't have to take class, come on the mat, participate with your kids. And because we do that, and then we extend invitations to them, just come try it out, that actually helps a ton. I think the other thing that's huge is you have to do whatever it takes to, if you really want women to be involved in your school, you have to do whatever it takes to get a female instructor and to keep her.
Mm,
Um, if you do have a school that's full of just male instructors, you're not going to have a school full of female women on the mat. You just won't.
mm. Yeah, they need someone to look up to who's yeah, kind of looks like them, right? Or they're more
Yes.
familiar or comfortable with.
Yes.
It was really funny. A friend of mine was invited for her work, like a big Fortune 500 company, to go to a conference for about women in tech. Right.
Mm.
So she tells me she's so excited about it. We go to this thing about women in tech. Her work sends her there. She gets there, sits down in the conference room, is looking around at the stage, at the panel of people answering questions. The entire panel is male, not one female.
That's not gonna work
So
so well.
what, like, you can't say you want more women in class if you don't have any women instructors, right? And then the second thing that was funny about this is she follows up with one of the speakers after the conference and says, "Hey, I'd love to be more involved. And this sounds super cool. I love what you said. Can you give me information? I'll have to reach out to you." "Yeah, sounds great. We need people like you." She emails him directly after the event, doesn't respond.
Yeah.
Emails him again, doesn't respond. So a lot of these things that people do, like I think it's especially like big corporate America, we do is like a facade of like, oh, we want more women in leadership positions. Oh, we want more female instructors. But what the hell are you actually doing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just such a silly situation. My sister called it. My sister, when I told her about it, because my sister's actually like prominent as like a female in tech. She works for Netflix, and
Mm,
she calls it a manel, like a man panel. I like that. That's smart.
that's funny.
Um, so thank you so much for coming on here. Before we go, I want to know, I guess, from you, like, would you rather? This is just like a funny random question. I just like to
Sure.
ask people. Would you rather spend 1 year in the Sahara Desert or 2 years in Alaska?
I would definitely do 2 years in Alaska.
Wait,
Crazy funny
not
thing.
like vacation Alaska, like
No, no,
frigid,
no.
like your
Like,
survival.
yes, like survival. I would be down with Alaska because, like, this is so crazy. I like love survival shows. Like, I
Mm.
am addicted to survival
You watch
shows.
Alone?
Yes,
I love
yes,
Alone. Yes,
it's
it's so good.
awesome. So, like, yeah, I would say I don't know how I could deal with like not the desert. I don't know anything
No.
about that. There's no survival shows on the desert. I feel more prepared for Alaska.
Yeah, why is there no survival shows in the desert now that you mentioned that?
Hmm.
Well, I guess yeah, because you can't survive.
Survivability.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess a lot of the wintry places technically are deserts, but they're not what you think of it. They're not a hot desert,
True.
right?
True.
Yeah, I love the show Alone. I learned so much from it. So you live on a farm. Do you have animals in the farm?
Yeah, yeah. I was. I hope you didn't hear the chicken crowing in the background, but like we have a rooster out there, and I was like, oh man, I hope he stays away. But yeah, we have 24 chickens out here. We got like 5 pigs, 5 dogs. We're gonna get horses on the farm. So,
Who's in charge of the animals? Who takes care of them?
well, my son Beckett, we adopted him from China when he was 3.5, so he's 10 now. And so he does a lot of the taking care of the animals, collecting eggs, feeding them, stuff like that, like responsibility stuff. But my husband and I, obviously we all pitch in and we do the things we need to do.
Wow. Do you harvest the animals yourself, or
No, we
what do you
have
do?
not. We have not done that. The pigs were started off as like pets, and then we were going to breed them, and then we never got to breed them. So then it's like, well, I don't know if we want to deal with piglets, and because they're they're pet pigs. Like, you have like pigs you slaughter, right? And then you have the pet pigs and stuff. And so that was going to be the plan. It didn't work out that way. So now they're just like, it's like having goldfish, but they're on a farm, right? Like they're nice to look at. They're interesting to look at.
A pig.
Um, yeah, a pig. They're
You're saying a
hilarious.
pig is easy to handle as a goldfish.
I would say so. I mean, like, you feed
I
them,
think
you
they're
pet
used to living
them,
on
you
a
rub their
farm.
bellies. Like they're
Yeah.
hilarious. They're
Yeah.
hilarious.
So
Too
you
funny.
want to get horses, or you don't have those yet?
Yeah, don't have them yet. But when we bought the farm in like right at the beginning of 2020, we had no idea. But we bought the farm. It was a horse farm before, and so like that's part of the plan is to do that. And obviously 2020 happened, and like world was upside down for a couple of years. So yeah, so hopefully in the next couple of years or so, we'll go ahead and finish getting all the rest of the infrastructure. We've worked on it a lot, like worked on the house, worked on the infrastructure and stuff like that. So it's been fun. It's been like the house was built in the 1940s. So it's been a fun project house to kind of do as a family.
Yeah, you have a lot of plates spinning in your life.
Yes, yes. I think it's like one of those things where like if for me at least, I thrive off of having many things going, and if I don't have enough things going, and I tend to not do as well. And I think that that's maybe a personality issue or something like that. I know for other people, like my friends, they've been like, I don't think I would ever want to have like what you have going on. And I'm like, well, I would never want to not have, like be as only have this little thing that you, not as little, but like just be, focused on doing this one thing, like that would drive me nuts. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on here. And
Yeah, I
if someone
appreciate
wants to
that.
reach out to you
Yeah.
about Seven Figure Dojo, how they find you, or if they have a question for you.
Yeah, just go to sevenfiguredojo.com. That's going to be the easiest way. Or if you're on social media, Facebook, you can just DM me, Jennifer Waters.
Cool. My name is Matthew Brenner. If you want to learn how to add students to your martial arts school without worrying about gambling on Facebook ads, and you want to systematically get new students every single month predictably by digging a well and drinking from that well over and over again, you can find me at Matthew@wdojo.com or on Instagram at blackbeltbrenner1. Thanks, guys.